good day. Welcome to Core English for Senior High Schools, Form 3, Lesson 7, Comprehension. Today's topic is answering derivative questions. In our last lesson on comprehension, we learned about content questions and how to respond to them appropriately. Another type of comprehension question you may encounter in your English examination is the derivative question. In this type of comprehension question, you are required to read the passage understandably and derive answers from the facts or information given in the passage. This lesson will open your eyes to what derivative questions entail and how you can respond to them appropriately. What are derivative questions? According to the concise edition of Webster's Reference Library Dictionary and Thesaurus, the word derivative comes from the word derive, which means to take from another or receive from a source, especially a work of art. It also means to infer or deduce from. Derivative questions are also called inductive questions. These types of questions require responses that can be verified from the passage. Just as the name suggests, it is required that information be taken from or deduced from the information in the given text. Derivative questions are those questions whose answers are not stated directly in the passage but are derived from the meaning of the passage. Derivative or inductive questions are the kinds initiated by why, how, and so what. These types of questions take readers through the text, allowing them to evaluate and interpret evidence from a written text. This requires that you read the text paying close attention to detail. Let's look at answering derivative questions. Derivative questions usually demand detailed understanding of the passage. Answers to such questions usually require a second and even a third reading. As a student, you should not waste time on reading the text several times over, especially since you must be working within time. It is preferred that you first answer the content questions, that is, those questions whose answers are found directly in the passage, quickly, before you attempt the derivative questions. It is important that the passage must be read carefully for a deep understanding of the subject before derivative questions can be answered satisfactorily. At times, you may have to read or search through several lines or a complete paragraph in order to identify answers to derivative questions. This exercise, therefore, calls for a deeper understanding of the passage. Now, read the passage on your screen carefully and study the accompanying questions. Passage A. The two words, noise and sound, are sometimes taken to be synonymous, but there are important, though subtle differences in meaning between the two. If I am singing, I may like the sound of my own voice even if I am out of tune. On the other hand, if you are singing out of tune, I may complain bitterly about the noise you are making. In fact, the word noise is commonly used to mean unwelcome or unpleasant sound. The child who lives in a noisy street may lose the ability to respond readily to instructions. He has learned to switch off in defense against the blare of stereos and car horns and the rumbling of heavy traffic. Let's look at some derivative questions. 1. In one sentence, say what the writer considers to be the difference between noise and sound. 2. State the basic difference between the sounds mentioned in the first sentence of the third paragraph and the sounds mentioned in the second sentence of the third paragraph. 3. In what way, according to the writer, is the city child handicapped? Once again, examine the questions carefully. What is your assessment of the questions? Can you identify and explain the type of questions they are? It is obvious that all these questions are examples of derivative questions. Answers to these questions should be inferred from the given text. Now it's time for us to take some exercises. Read the passage on your screen and answer the questions appropriately. Passage B. All atoms have internal structures which are built out of a combination of only 3 fundamental bricks called the electron, the proton, and the neutron. The last two have more or less the same weight or size. The electron, however, is about 1,800 times lighter in weight. Further, the electron is electrically negative, carrying the smallest possible electric charge, while the proton carries a positive charge equal to the negative charge of the electron. The neutron carries no charge and is electrically neutral, hence its name. The derivative questions on this passage. 1. Why is bricks in inverted commas? Why are the electrons, proton, and neutron referred to as bricks? 3. In what way does the neutron differ from both the proton and electron? Here are the answers to comprehension passage B. The first question was, why is bricks in inverted commas? The answer to that is that it has been used metaphorically and not with its usual meaning. The second question was, why are the electrons, proton, and neutron referred to as bricks? The answer is they combine to build the internal structure of an atom. The third question, in what way does the neutron differ from both the proton and the electron? Answer, the electron is far lighter in weight than the proton and neutron. We have a third passage to deal with. I hope you are really interested, as I am. Let's go then. People were attacked and robbed at gunpoint. Knives and other offensive weapons were also sometimes used by assailants. This became a real worry as 3 citizens lost their money and got hurt in the process. They had called in the police to help, but to no avail. Prevention, they say, is better than cure, and so the inhabitants decided to adopt measures to ensure that they were not robbed of their property and in order to be saved from harm. People would never go anywhere alone, especially when carrying money and other valuable things. One day, a middle-aged man of the community needed money so much that he could not wait for the convoy. He set out by himself and got to the cocoa clerk. He was given what was due him from the cocoa beans he had sold previously. In a contented mood, he walked to the market and bought presents for his 2 wives. He also bought a few items that were needed at home. He started for home in that euphoria, totally forgetting about the plague in the village. He was almost at his door when he met his son with both his cloth and his pair of sandals on his head, running as if all hell's creatures were after him. Suddenly from behind, the horse appeared. Here are the derivative questions. 1. According to the passage, why was the police called? 2. What does the word convoy refer to in the passage? 3. Why did the old man feel excited when he was paid for his cocoa beans? Here are the answers to comprehension passage C. The first question was, according to the passage, why was the police called? The answer to that is, robbery attacks were on the increase and the police were needed to protect the people. The second question, what does the word convoy refer to in the passage? It refers to the number of people who moved together to protect themselves from the robbers. Question 3. Why did the old man feel excited when he was paid for his cocoa beans? The answer, he now had money to satisfy his needs. Well, this lesson has come to an end, but I can't leave just like that. I have to go through what we have done in this lesson. In this lesson, you have learned that 1. Derivative questions are also called deductive questions. 2. Responses to these questions can be verified from the passage. 3. Derivative questions are introduced by why, how, so what, and so on. 4. Derivative questions demand a deep understanding of the passage. Well, till you come my way next time, this is Mabel Nunufio saying, cheerio.